Welcome back to our journey through vibe coding. Today we are jumping into Chapter 6, and let me tell you, this one really changes the way you think about talking to an AI. We're going to cover some ideas that will seriously level up your prompts and get you much better results.
So let's just kick things off with a pretty counterintuitive question. What if the secret to getting amazing results from an AI isn't about adding more instructions, but about saying nothing? Or more specifically, about telling it what not to do? It's a huge shift in thinking, and it all boils down to the power of saying no.
All right, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the core idea behind this power of silence. Then we'll talk about a super common problem I know you've all faced, the wandering AI. After that, we'll introduce the solution, this really cool technique called constraint fencing. We'll see how to build these fences, look at the biggest trap you can fall into, and then wrap it all up with the real art of how to do this right.
So, let's get right to the heart of it. Think about a piece of music, right? It's not just the notes that make it beautiful, it's the silence between the notes, the rests, that actually creates the rhythm, the feel, the whole vibe. Well, the same thing is true for AI prompting. The silence, the things you specifically tell the AI to avoid, is what sharpens its focus and creates a clear path to exactly what you want.
But why do we even need to do this? Well, let's talk about a problem that drives us all crazy. I'm talking about the wandering AI mind. You know what I mean. You give it a simple, straightforward request, and what you get back is this novel, full of extra stuff you never asked for and definitely don't need.
Here's a perfect example. You ask for a simple Python function, right? Just validate an email address format for me. That's it. But the AI, trying to be super helpful, goes way overboard. It gives you a function that not only checks the format, but also does these complicated network lookups to verify the domain. For a simple offline check, that's actually a huge problem. The AI has wandered off the path and into a forest of complexity. We need to build a fence.
So, how do we stop the AI from wandering? How do we keep it focused? Well, we build fences. We set up boundaries. We use a method that doesn't just point the AI where to go, but also puts up big, bright "Do Not Enter" signs on all the wrong paths.
And that brings us to the core concept of Chapter 6, Constraint Fencing. What this really means is you're guiding the AI by exclusion. You're telling it what not to do. It's like you're a sculptor, and instead of adding clay, you're chipping away the parts you don't want to reveal the masterpiece underneath. You're defining the solution by defining its boundaries.
And the book gives us this awesome analogy. It's just like pruning a tree. When you cut off the dead or unwanted branches, you're not hurting the tree. You're actually helping it. You're focusing all its energy on the healthy branches that are going to grow strong and produce fruit. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're pruning away the bad ideas so the good ones can flourish.
Or hey, how about another one? Think about mixing a song. If you want to make the vocals pop, you don't always just turn the singer's volume up. A pro move is to actually cut the specific frequencies in the guitars or keyboards that are clashing with the voice. You create a little pocket of silence for the vocal to sit in perfectly. That's constraint fencing. We're cutting the noise so the signal, our desired result, comes through crystal clear.
Okay, theory is great, but let's get into the good stuff. How do you actually do this? What do these fences look like in a real prompt? Let's break down the different types you can start using right away.
First up, you've got your technical fences. These are all about controlling the how. You can get super specific. You can say, hey, don't use this particular library, or whatever you do, don't use recursion for this. You can even enforce security standards, like telling it to avoid an outdated hashing algorithm. This is how you make sure the code you get back is efficient, secure, and fits your project.
Next, we have stylistic and content fences. This is all about the what and the general feel of the response. You can control the tone, like keep it formal, no slang. You can block certain topics, like do not mention our competitor, product Y. And, my absolute favorite, you can just say, provide only the code, no explanations. It's such a game changer for getting clean, copy-pastable snippets.
And finally, there are structural fences. These are your best friends for controlling the layout and format of the output. You can tell it to skip headers, not to number a list, or to just give you the main idea without a bunch of extra examples. This is how you get perfectly formatted, ready-to-use output every single time.
Okay, but there has to be a catch, right? There is. While fencing are incredibly powerful, you can definitely take it too far. And that leads us to the over-fencing trap.
This is what happens when you add so many constraints, so many don'ts, that you basically box the AI into a tiny corner and suffocate any chance it has for a creative or useful response.
The book has this hilarious example that just perfectly illustrates the point. Someone asks for a little 4-line poem about a stream. Simple enough, but then look at this list of constraints. No adjectives, no words longer than 5 letters, no rhymes, no metaphors, and, get this, you can't even use the word stream.
And what did it produce? Brook runs, sunlight, rocks sit, life is. I mean, yeah, it's technically an answer, but it's completely lifeless, right? All that creativity was just squeezed out because the fences were built way too high. This is the over-fencing trap in action.
And that brings us to the most important piece of wisdom from this chapter. Your constraints, your fences, they aren't supposed to be a cage. They're supposed to be guardrails on a highway. Their job is to keep the AI from driving off a cliff, to gently guide it along the right path, not to trap it in a parking spot. The goal is always to channel creativity, never to extinguish it.
And I think this quote just sums it all up perfectly. A truly great prompt doesn't just point to a destination, it also maps out the dangers along the way. It's about telling the AI which stars to shoot for, yes, but also which black holes to steer clear of. When you do that, the path becomes clear, the journey is safer, and you arrive exactly where you wanted to be. So next time you write a prompt, don't just think about what you want to ask for. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I need to tell it not to do?